Welcome back to my channel. Today's sewing project is how to cut and sew a corporate dress with peplum. To make this, I'll be using this fabric. It's called polycrepe in Nigeria. This will be nice for the bodycon dress. As you can see, it stretches one side. You need 1.5 yards of fabric or 2 yards depending on your size, and depending on the type of fabric you will use, you will need an interfacing. You can use this paper gum stay. It's called paper gum stay in Nigeria, as you can see, depending on the type of fabric you're working with. To draft this, you will need your basic bodice block for bodycon dresses. So first, I'm going to fold my pattern paper into two like this, and I'm going to go ahead and trace out my bodice pattern. Before I continue, I would like to let you know that the pattern I'm using is a half scale. As you can see how small it's looking, so it's just for me to show you how to draft this corporate dress. After drawing the bodice pattern on fold, I'll go ahead and increase the length of the dress. So I will increase it to the length I want the dress to be, which is below the knee. I like to take my lengthwise measurement from the waistline. So from the waistline, I came down 28 inches, and that would be the length of the dress for this dress. So I'll go ahead and make a shape on the side seam. So come down 17 inches and mark half 1 inch in. Remember, I'm working on my half scale, so on your full scale take in 1 inch. I made a mistake and took in 1 inch, but I'm going to correct that. So on your own pattern, make it 1 inch. I've already corrected this to half inch because I'm working on my half scale. So I'll go ahead and add sewing allowance all to this. Remember, if you have been following my channel, you know I like to add all my sewing allowances before I start making any design. So I'll go ahead and cut out this pattern. So after cutting this is how it looks. Next, I'm going to cut out from the waistline so that I'll make the design we have in front. So I'm going to trace this from the waistline down to the hip line. I'll go ahead and cut this out. So next is for me to draw the design. So this is the center front. From this center front, I'm going to measure out like 3 inches, and then on the side seam I'll come down like 4 inches. Then I'm going to make a straight line on that line and then connect these lines like this. Now on the thumbnail, what you have, one side is shorter than the other one, but for me, I want the two sides to meet at the same place. So if you want that same type, you can make it shorter on the side seam. You on the straight line, you will not make them equal on the straight line, but I want mine to have this shape. So I'll go ahead and cut this open. Now this place will be on fold. When I'm cutting it, the two sides will be on fold. As you can see, that's our pattern. So next thing to do is for me to trace this out. Remember, for bodycon dresses, the only difference between the front and the back is the neckline. So I went ahead and drew out the back, added the zipper allowance for the back because it's going to have a zipper allowance. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. I have also drawn out my sleeve, so as you can see, this is the sleeve. I'll go ahead also cut out the sleeve. My sleeve will be on fold. As you can see how it is, it's going to be on fold. So this is the pattern for the front and the back and the sleeve. Now I'm going to set this aside and we continue working on the front. I'll go ahead and open this out because it has a there's a design in front by the side. So I'm going to use the same pattern that we have made. I'll place it like this on the waistline so that I'll get the line where I'm going to cut out for the side, the joining at the side. So make sure you know, align it like this, and you're going to cut this out. So if you notice with the thumbnail, you will see there is a gather on this line that I'm drawing. So I'll go ahead and cut this out on the waistline and then cut that place open. So next I'm going to go ahead and add sewing allowances to all of them, at least ½ inch sewing allowance to all of them. This is it after adding the sewing allowance. Can you see? So next thing you're going to do is to mark how you want the pattern to be. Now decide where you want the slits to be, the gathers, if you want it on the right or if you want it on the left. This is the time to arrange it and write it out on your pattern paper. So if you want the slit to be on the right, you turn your pattern paper and indicate that your fabric, this will be the front side of your fabric. I hope I'm making sense, because this is now an asymmetric um neckline, let me put it like that. So you have to make sure you indicate that. So this is my pattern now, and I'm going to bring out all the pieces. So I show you all the pieces. Can you see how they are? This is for the front. So I'll set this aside, and this is the back. So we have our full pattern, as you can see. So this is the full pattern, how it's going to look like. I'll go ahead and label how we're going to be cutting out all these things. Starting with the sleeve, we're going to cut one piece, and this will be on fold. So you're going to cut one of this. For the back, you're going to cut two pieces. This is the zipper allowance, as you can see. Now for the front, you're going to cut one piece for this. You're going to also cut one piece for this. Remember to decide you indicated to be the front. So now this will be on fold. You're going to cut one. This will also be on fold, and you're going to cut one. Now for the lower part of the skirt, you decide if you want to fold it like this. If you want to fold it, it means you're going to cut it on fold, and you cut one piece. So decide whether you want it on fold or you want to cut it one. So if you want to cut it one like this, it's going to be straight like this. Next, I'll be making a flounce for the design in front, guys. Because this is is half scale, this flounce I'm making is going to be looking too big on my half scale, but I have no option, so I'm going to use 1 inch as my radius to draw it round. If you're working on your fabric on your own, you can use 2 inches. I'm using ½ inch because I'm making a half scale. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch all around. So remember, in your own case, it should be like 2 inches around. For those that will be asking why I'm using 2 inches or 1 inch, this is standard for me. So I'm just going to draw this round. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide one portion of this into two. So wherever that is, just mark it out, and then I'm going to mark 2 inches for the length of my flounce. Guys, I'm just trying not to sew my hand. That's why I want to use 2 inches, because actually for a normal dress, that the length of that, so for yours you should have the length of that one should be like 2 inches, and you add 1 inch sewing allowance, it will be like 3 inches. I'm using it 2 inches. I just want to manage that, so I'm going to connect this to the 2 inches that I have. So you connect 2 inches like this and take 2 inches round. So you continue taking 2 inches round. Guys, these 2 inches, I just want to manage these 2 inches. By the time I sew the 2 ½ inch, I should have 1 inch. But actually, in the real sense, I'm supposed to have like ½ inch after sewing the sewing allowance. So imagine making ½ inch for the half scale. It's going to be tiny, but I will actually sew my hand. So that's why I'm using 2 inches. So it's going to look too big on my half scale, but I have no option. So I continue taking the 2 inches around. I'm going to gather this flounce, so this will not be enough. I'll add some pattern paper to continue marking the flounce. So after cutting the flounce, I'll go ahead and measure it. I'll measure the inner place, inner whatever, as you can see what I'm doing, just to make sure that what I have will be enough for the flounce I'm making. So the length I'm using is 8.5. I'm going to times that by 2 because I want to gather the flounce. So this will be enough. I'll go ahead and cut that on my fabric. So this is it after cutting it. Can you see how the flounce is? Very nice. So I'll go ahead and sew ½ inch on my machine. This is it after sewing it. I went ahead and gathered it. So the next thing I'll do is to place it on my pattern like this. As you can see, guys, can you see how big this is? But it's okay, I'll manage it. So this is it after sewing it. I went ahead and faced the neckline. So the next thing I'm going to do is to introduce the lower part of the dress. So this is it. I'm going to go to my machine now and turn it over like this, and I'm going to sew it. This is it after sewing it. The next thing is the back. So I have gone ahead and attached invisible zip to the back. Can you see? So the next thing I will do now is to go to my machine, place the shoulders together. Can you see what I did? And sew here. And also the sleeve is ready too. I'll go ahead and fix the sleeve, the 2 sleeves, and then I close the side seam. So this is it after I was done sewing everything. Can you see, guys? Very neat. So if you're to use interfacing, you will use it on the peplum. So I'll go ahead and show you the final look.